Right. So, Mr. Wieczorek, how does that resonate with you?
I'm entrepreneur.
Global player.
I'm entrepreneur, and I can say that that's true. I'm the partner of EIT Health 3 or 4 years, and I can say that I'm really benefiting, and my company is benefiting. Because the problem is, Balázs, I exactly agree with you. The problem is the scientific environment. Because most of the innovations all come from universities, and typical is PhD, post-PhD, and PhD person is just taking its innovation, going to the business, and making startup or spin-off, or just initiating the business. Or it comes from small and medium enterprises, but still, they must be very close to academic institutions to validate this technology, sometimes to have very quick access to the core competencies that they don't have in the small companies, small business companies. So this is a real problem in our societies, that historically academic institutions were always like silos, educating people, not really having links with the industry, right? So EIT Health just is breaking that. This is the environment, both academic institutions, top level. I can say that in the partners of EIT, we have like 50% of the best universities in Europe, right? So the industrial partner can benefit simply picking up the best universities and best technologies from this environment. So this is really great.
But when will we get the scale that would transport Poland, Hungary, Wales, Portugal, Croatia, and Italy way higher in the European scoreboard? Because we can do it. I mean, there are great opportunities, and we have to remember, and this is very important, I think, for all those who think about starting business in the health industry right now, that, first, the early stage that we are in brings more opportunities than there will be available later. But we would need scale for Poland.
Yeah, you're right. But this is
how long we will have to wait, and what has to happen.
This is the process. It's not a simple process. We know that it takes some time. Well, to put the innovations into real high-scale business, you need good science, but you need also money to do that. People and money. So with first is good science, and this EIT Health about. But then you need money. So all of the systems that are better and better, and we know we have access to many EU funds, we have national programs to finance that. We have more and more friendly investment environment with the business angels, with the venture funds coming here. But still, it's we can't say that we are in the US, perspectives, that you have unlimited access to the venture funds, to the money that can be easily spent to the innovations. This is the process that's taking place. I see very good signals. I mean, the number of startups is really growing in the last 2-3 years in Poland. I think it's similar in Hungary. I don't know about Portugal much, but probably yes. So it's
10-15 years?
I think we are catching up, and within 10-15 years it will be pretty similar, at least these basic startup environments.
Mr. Fourier, you wanted to comment?
Just
because
one
I
comment.
said 10-15 years, and I was like...
Yeah, the 10-15 years also means that we have a progress every year, a visible progress. So it's not a boring journey where we will see the end result in 10-15 years. It's a marathon. It's not a short run. It's a marathon. But we all see the progress year by year.
Each year will be more exciting,
yes.
In other words. How does it look from a Philips perspective? When do you think those countries that, particularly those that EIT Health, InnoStars is focusing on, will really see this scaling up of innovative healthcare businesses?
I think, first of all, if I speak to entrepreneurs, yesterday evening, but when I travel through the region, I speak to many entrepreneurs, and there's an enormous drive and eagerness to develop and to innovate. And I think that is a very important starting point, and therefore, I see innovations all around. Now, as a big company like Philips, we have specific programs to help startups because, as you were saying, a lot of times a startup or an entrepreneur just needs to get that connection. He has a great idea, but he needs a connection maybe to a network or to a certain investment or something else to really unlock that potential. And now we call that program HealthWorks. We have different ecosystems. We have one in Europe, one in the US in Cambridge. We have it in China. We have it in Bangalore. And that really helps startups in different fronts to accelerate. We also have a venture fund where we invest in startups. And we really believe that by working together with these startups, you can really solve specific issues. Because I think that is the most important part is that people focus on a very specific area. If I look at here the market here locally, so we ambassador that program of HealthWorks. We focus this year on artificial intelligence in radiology, which is a very important topic, which can help extend the expertise of a limited group of people to a much larger patient base. Actually, in next week on the 12th, we have 19 finalists presenting their work. Next year we will focus on AI in oncology. We'll focus on telemedicine and on sleep and respiratory innovations. And by focusing on those, I think it really helps. Linked to that, you cannot just think about advising, you also need to mentor. You need to give advice on how can you address certain challenges for startups. So we are very active also, by the way, in InnoStars. We have people from our organization participating. I myself participate often, and I think that's a very important element because young innovators can learn from that. However, we should never forget that they are innovators. So you also need to leave them the space to come up with new solutions.
So, if I may, Mrs. Fish, when you think the scale will be really large, so we will see this explosion of innovative businesses?
Yeah. When I look to Portugal, I always see Portugal as a very good showcase for technology. We are a small country. We love technology, so the number of smartphones in Portugal is amazing. And since we are small, the financial risk for the companies to invest the risk is also very small. So we embrace technology, and it can be a good showcase for a bigger country. And we have good examples regarding EIT Health. So the program of Starship, it was launched to put universities and industrial partners working together to develop and to find a solution for the industrial needs among the different universities. So this is a program where, for instance, for Glint, it was a way to define how to measure the outcomes on oncology. And so I think this kind of connection between, as the colleague saying, between the universities and the industry has to be a must. So for me, 75% of the PhDs or the postdocs should be related to industrial partners in order to make sure that we are fulfilling a need that the society is looking for. The other part, I think, I agree that the financial part is very important. And when we compare Europe to the United States, we see that it's public versus private funding. And we need to move forward to the private funding so that we can have much more startups and spin-offs. But most important, the startups have to stay in the market. So that's quite important. They lift off from startups and they become new companies that continues in the healthcare sector for a longer time. And the third point is that change management has to happen. We were talking about change management and behavioral in the healthcare sector, but for having innovative solutions and innovation, we need to do this change management among universities and industrial partners. So I think these are the 3 points that we need to move forward.
On a closing note of our discussion, I would like to ask you to come back to the previous night when there was the competition for startup pitches, and obviously there are some winners, so maybe Mr. Furias, I will ask you to give us a hint and a few words about who won. But the reason why I'm asking this question, and this is more broader context, for Forbes audience, if we would like to start a healthcare company that would quickly become a unicorn, what should it be? Something somewhere around my wrist, something in a data backbone of the system, or still should it be something that actually is the per se medical equipment, so some kind of, I don't know, more innovative knife for surgery or something of that kind that is being used, by specialists on the hospital side. All right, so let's start with the outcomes of the competition, maybe.
Yeah, the competition was really intense, and for example, from all regions, the succeeding companies, interestingly, 2 of them targeted on Parkinson disease. One is a treatment, the other one is a diagnostic tool, which was very interesting. We also had a 3rd company, it was from Portugal, for example, which is when you have a medical device implanted into your body, but for a duration, and after that it has to be taken out. It's a surgery twice. And they develop a biodegradable stent that will be put in, but it will dissolve within the body. So it is reducing cost, risk, and it is speeding up the healing. So these kind of ideas, which is not common to be found within a company because it's off track for a medical company. Let's take this example. But there's a startup who really believes in it, can change a significant part of an industry. So that's why it is interesting, and that's why we need these startups, and we can give them the support to scale up and then change the industry.
It sounds very interesting. So if we wanted to make a unicorn, straight head on and be sure of our success, it never happens, but let's imagine for a moment. So what should it be? In services, in data management? Should it still be, things like those dissolving urinal stents, or where should we look for?
It's difficult to judge. The question is, who will pay for that? Okay. I mean, most of the very successful businesses in health, the payer is the government, right? It's a public payer. So data, probably yes, but the question is whether governments will pay for the data. Okay, it will be more difficult, maybe still traditional products like medical products or drugs have still, or modifications or drug delivery that will benefit to the patients, still probably will be this type of products.
Right.
Yeah, I will bet on biotech and data analysis, and I think the private sectors should come onto the stage and realize that if they pay for this, they will get better results into the healthcare insurance. So I think the private sector should come onto the stage.
And when you say biotech, you mean biological drugs?
Biological drugs based on genetics combined with data analysis. I think that will be my shot.
Okay. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I would agree with the data analytics part, because in the end, it's all about how you interpret the data, what you do with it. So I think that's an absolutely crucial area. For me, the second one is really empowering the patient to take control over his or her own health. Because in the end, as an individual, you have most interest in your own health. So if you are able to get the right data, connect with your doctor, but at the same time make decisions. A diabetic takes about 200-300 decisions a day about his or her disease. If you can empower that person to improve its health, I think that will be incredibly valuable. Now, the payment question is, of course, an important one, right? How is the reimbursement system? Is it public? Is it private? But over time, I think that will sort itself out, because by data analytics and connecting information across different care settings, you will save money over time.
Whenever we discuss, patient knowing what's going on with him, I always, it comes to my mind what HR experts usually say, feedback is a gift. So when you know what you're doing and something is measuring it, then you tend to behave better and more responsibly. So probably you're right, Madam Professor. My unicorn,
yeah,
what should it be?
that's quite difficult question, because I think that although we are treating innovation globally, we have to solve local problems. And it's very, very difficult to say that there is one unicorn solution for everybody. So if you ask me from the point of view of researcher and the beginning newcomer in innovation, I would say biotech for sure, because it really applies the newest results of science, but also general healthcare management. There are a lot of resources there here, because in fact, when we go down, we see that there is huge gap between technological possibilities that we have in general and proper use of them within management of patients, management of drugs, management of services, hospitals, etc.
Thank you. And one last word, unicorn, according to EIT Health InnoStars.
We heard a lot of ideas, and I agree if it is biotech, but it involves clinical trial, and the government will pay. It's a high risk, high reward business. So it might be a huge unicorn, but in the long run, and there are many points which can stop this. If it is involved in private payers and more on data and medtech, maybe a smaller unicorn, but it's much faster to reach this stage and become successful. What is my message or key advice to the Polish startups is that the Polish market is big enough to think in only the Polish market, but it never be a unicorn. So what we see as a key distinction, whether a healthcare company is thinking globally, internationally, because healthcare also always solves a local problem, but then you can roll it out and think globally. And for this one, I would like to see more startups with international team. So I would encourage the Polish startups to think globally and start with an international team, because that's the best sign they will be successful.
Right, we have used our time to every single second we had. So I would like to thank you very much for this very interesting discussion. I hope we will see some innovative companies stemming up from our discussion also. We spoke on the side, we discussed in Forbes debate on the side of EIT Health Summit in Łódź Medical University. 2018 Summit is seeing its second day today, so I wish you great debates. Thanks so much.
Thank you.